The jungle woke before the sun. Mist floated low over the ground, clinging to roots and fallen leaves. The air smelled of wet soil, tree sap, and old rain. Somewhere deep inside the forest, a bird cried out, sharp and lonely, as if warning the world that the day had begun. Rashid opened his eyes slowly. He slept on a rough wooden bed inside a small hut made of mud, bamboo, and tin sheets. The hut stood alone at the edge of the jungle, far from any village. There was no electricity, no clock, and no mirror. Rashid did not need them. His body had learned time from the jungle itself. He sat up and rubbed his face with both hands. His palms were hard and cracked, the skin thick like dry bark. Years of cutting wood had carved deep lines into his hands and arms. His beard was rough, his hair uncombed, and his eyes, dark, tired, but alert. Rashid stood, tied a piece of cloth around his waist, and stepped outside. The jungle stood before him like a living wall. Tall trees stretched upward, their tops lost in fog. Vines hung like ropes. Somewhere nearby, leaves rustled, maybe a deer, maybe something else. Rashid listened carefully. In the jungle, listening was more important than seeing. He picked up his axe. The axe was old. The handle was smooth from years of grip, darkened by sweat and rain. Rashid had owned many tools in his life, but this axe had stayed with him the longest. It was not just a tool. It was survival. He walked into the jungle. Rashid had been cutting wood for more than 20 years. He did not remember the exact year he came to the jungle. Time lost its meaning here. Days were counted by hunger and rest, by rain and dry seasons. Long ago, Rashid had lived in a village. He had a small house, a wife, and a son. Life was poor, but it was life. Then the floods came. The river swallowed fields, homes, and hope. His son fell sick. There was no doctor, no money. His wife cried every night. When his son died, Rashid felt something inside him break. His wife left him soon after. She went to her parents' house and never returned. Rashid stayed alone, surrounded by memories that burned like fire. One day, he picked up an axe and walked away. The jungle did not ask questions. It did not judge. It only tested. That morning, Rashid chose a tall, dead tree. He never cut green trees unless absolutely necessary. The jungle gave life, and he respected it. Dead trees were enough for firewood and charcoal. He studied the trunk carefully. The ground sloped slightly. The wind direction mattered. A wrong cut could kill a man. Rashid placed his palm on the bark, feeling its strength, its weakness. He raised the axe. Thok. The sound echoed through the jungle. Thok. Thok. Each strike was precise. Rashid did not rush. Sweat rolled down his back, soaking his clothes. Muscles moved like trained machines. His breathing was steady. After many strikes, the tree began to creak. Rashid stepped back. With a deep groan, the tree fell, crashing into the undergrowth, shaking the earth. Rashid stood still for a moment. In the jungle, noise could attract unwanted attention. Silence returned slowly.
As Rashid began cutting the fallen trunk into smaller logs, he felt something. A presence. He stopped moving. The jungle grew quiet in a way that felt wrong. Birds stopped singing. Insects seemed to hide. Rashid slowly turned his head. There, between the bushes. Two eyes. Yellow. Unblinking. A leopard. It was not very close, but close enough. Rashid did not run. Running invited death. He stood straight, axe in hand, making himself look larger. His heart beat fast, but his face remained calm. The leopard watched him. Seconds felt like minutes. Then, silently, the animal turned and disappeared into the forest. Rashid exhaled slowly. This was jungle life. By noon, the sun burned through the fog. Rashid sat on a rock, eating dry bread and drinking water from a metal bottle. His body ached, but pain was familiar. Pain reminded him he was alive. As he rested, memories returned. His son's laughter. His wife's voice. The sound of the river before it destroyed everything. Rashid closed his eyes. He had tried to forget, but the jungle did not erase memories. It only buried them deep, where they waited. In the afternoon, the sky darkened suddenly. Wind rose, bending trees. Thunder growled in the distance. Rashid knew this kind of storm. Dangerous. He gathered his tools and started walking back toward his hut, but the rain came fast, heavy, sharp drops that soaked everything within minutes. The ground turned slippery. A branch snapped above him. Rashid ran. Then his foot slipped. He fell hard, his leg twisting painfully. A sharp pain shot through his knee. He tried to stand. He couldn't. Rain poured down, turning the jungle into a roaring beast. Rashid dragged himself under a large tree for shelter. His knee was swelling fast. Walking would be impossible. Night would come soon. Injured men did not survive nights in the jungle easily. Rashid leaned back against the trunk, breathing hard. For the first time in many years, fear touched his heart deeply. He thought of his son. "I'm not ready yet," he whispered. As the storm weakened, Rashid heard footsteps. Human footsteps. A young man appeared, soaked and nervous, carrying a bag and a stick. "Are you hurt?" the stranger asked. Rashid nodded. The young man introduced himself as Aman, a traveler who had lost his way. With effort, Aman helped Rashid stand and supported him toward the hut. That night, by a small fire, Rashid told his story. For the first time in years, someone listened. Rashid's leg healed slowly. Aman stayed for several days, learning from Rashid how to listen to the jungle, how to respect it. Before leaving, Aman said, "You survived because you belong here. But you don't have to be alone." Rashid watched him disappear into the trees. For the first time, the jungle did not feel empty. Weeks later, Rashid returned to cutting wood. Same axe. Same jungle. But something inside him had changed. He still cut trees. But now, sometimes, he spoke to the jungle. And the jungle listened. Moral of the story. A man may lose everything, but as long as he survives with dignity and respect for nature, life always finds a way to give meaning again. The second explosion wasn't a roar, it was a collapse. The roof of the old warehouse groaned and began to cede. Beams of heavy timber and rusted iron fell like giants. Julian shielded Zoe with his body as they tumbled into a service pit beneath the floorboards. Above them, the world sounded like it was being torn apart. Then, silence. Only the crackle of fire remained. They lay in the darkness of the pit for a long time. Julian was bleeding from the cut on his shoulder, his breath ragged. Zoe clutched the ledger to her chest. "Is he dead?" she whispered. "Mark is a cockroach," Julian groaned, sitting up and wincing. "But he's trapped." "The police sirens, can you hear them?" Distant wails grew louder. Julian looked at Zoe, his face smeared with soot and blood. He reached out, his hand trembling as he touched the ledger. "Open it, Zoe." Page 142. Zoe opened the weathered book. Beneath the lists of bribes and bank accounts, there was a handwritten note in a script she recognized instantly. It was her father's handwriting. "To my daughter, Zoe. If you are reading this, it means the world is finally safe enough for the truth. Julian Vane did not fail us. He was the one who pulled me from the fire. He was the one who tried to save your mother. Whatever happens, trust him. He is the guardian of our story." Zoe's heart stopped. "He didn't pull you out? You saved him?" "I saved his life," Julian said quietly, "but I couldn't save his lungs. The smoke was too much. He died in my arms, Zoe." His last words weren't about the money or the ledger. They were about you.